Welcome back everybody to another episode of Comics with Wes. I am your host Wes, and today we're talking the Superman comic Superman for All Seasons by the duo Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb. Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb have done numerous books together, from Batman The Long Halloween to Spider-Man Blue. They've done Marvel, DC, anything in between. The two of them together always usually makes a really consistent and good book series. So today I would like to look at one of their kind of underrated bouts in Superman for All Seasons. Superman All Seasons tells the story of a young Clark Kent and in his way to becoming Superman, but it does it through the seasons of the world. Spring, fall, summer, winter, everything in between. It goes through these seasons as a way of progression of Superman and how he becomes Superman. We get first meetings between Lois and Superman, Lex and Superman, and even the idea that Superman's costume was built by just his mom on a farm in Kansas, which is one of my favorite origins of how the suit was made. But in any case, let's get into the nitty-gritty of why I like this book and why I think it's one of their most underrated stories and why it's one of the most underrated Superman stories that kind of gets pushed aside by all the bigger, better ones. Well, not better ones, but you know what I mean, more famous. It's the same term. Begin looking at this series, we have to look at the magnificent art by Tim Sale. Whenever Tim Sale is an artist on a book, he doesn't hold back from making things larger than life. From Batman's long-ass ears to Superman's gigantic chest, anything that Tim Sale builds or draws feels super heroic. Some of the best art in this book is when Superman's pretending to be Clark Kent. He's covered in ginormous clothes and has a sort of hunch to him, and you can see it in the rounded edges by Sale himself. High school Clark especially looks like this just big dopey kid that you would have as a bodyguard if you were getting bullied in school, but the more you see him at home with his parents and in overalls, or even, you know, laying in bed, you can see the muscular overtones of a man that can lift a car over his head. This sort of hidden character factor to it is what I've always liked about Superman. The difference between Clark and Superman is that Clark Kent is the mask, and I think that's played on a lot here, and it looks really good. I mean, come on, man. I can't draw like that. Up next, I would like to talk about the pacing of this book. The pacing of this book almost fits more like a TV series. The idea of the seasons changing along with our characters changing fits well with, say, like season 1 or season 2 popping out of a TV show you watch on Netflix. The pacing of changing seasons fits well with the idea of Superman growing with them. I think that's where, especially for me, I liked the most out of it, was that in the beginning you get dopey Superman, but by the end of the book you get the Man of Steel that we all know and love. By the summer season, Superman is already fully fledged heroics in Metropolis, and this is when they introduce Lex Luthor, Superman's biggest villain, almost the Joker to his Batman. The way that Lex is used as sort of a puppet master behind the scenes is perfect for that character. That's how Lex has always been, to me at least, is somebody that hides in the shadows but is able to turn the clock without anybody even noticing. It's a good paced villain. You're not rushed into immediately having a Lex and Superman conflict, but you see the buildings of tension just like Superman Birthright did. It's a little teeter-totter battle of brains and bronze, but matching each other everywhere they go. And also, the art is still amazing. But now you're probably wondering, Wes, what's your third point? Because you usually make your videos in threes, which is true. I kind of like doing that because it keeps them small, condensed, and it doesn't make me work that hard. So here's my third part. The third reason why I think this book is so good and why I think you should read it and not just overlook it for something like Superman, All-Star Superman, or Red Sun Superman. And that is the characterization of these characters. Superman is already written to a T in this book. That's a given. He's kind of a hard character to write, but if you give somebody like Jeph Loeb the pen, he writes him perfectly in how you would want Superman to be made. But it doesn't just stop there. He takes a Lex Luthor that's supposed to be modernized in this book and gives him sort of the 80s Luthor hint that we all know and love. More jealous and sadistic man of a guy that can fly in the sky, which is perfect as to why he believes he's the true savior of Metropolis instead of some outsider that's from a distant planet. And then there's Lois Lane. Lois Lane is just Lois Lane. I love this version as much as I love their Dark Victory's Catwoman. I feel like these two books could reside in the same universe and it would be fantastic. Just give Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb a 5-year plan to make a whole universe based around this style of writing and art, and you'd probably have one of the best universes ever sold in DC Comics history. I mean, she's just amazing. She's sparky, she's funny, she's the humanized version of Clark. She does everything. She's Lois Lane. I guess that would be my fourth point. After reading this book and reading Dark Victory and Long Halloween, I really thought to myself, God, I would love it if these two versions of these characters could cross paths, or maybe if we got a Wonder Woman book by Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb, or a Flash book, anything that would just make it confirmation that what they're writing is actually building into a bigger universe that we could all read and enjoy. Because this sort of stylized, easygoing, character-driven, amazing art stories are kind of hard to come by nowadays and are rather pushed off for cheap thrills and, okay art. I guess that's it for today's episode. I really hope this pushed you to want to go read Superman All Seasons, and if it didn't, well, then I didn't do that good of a job. I think it's one of the books that always gets overlooked for things like All-Star Superman and Red Sun Superman and anything that is, in the mainstream of Superman comics. I would say just read this one first, and if it doesn't get you into Superman, then Birthright's right up there next. It's a good origin story with nice, loving family values and amazing comic art, and if you don't like it, then I don't know. Anyways, thanks for coming. Today was Comics with Wes. I hope this microphone worked. I'm trying a new thing because I want things to sound better. Trust me, at some point, I'm gonna get the hang of this. Just not right now.